Hello and welcome to Me, the Wife and Wrexham AFC.
A weekly podcast and YouTube channel where we discuss all things Wrexham.
So sit back, put your feet up, relax and let's get stuck in.
Hello and welcome back to episode 152 of Me, the Wife and Wrexham AFC.
How you doing?
Good. You asked me that question like we don't see each other every day.
No, but it feels like that's the question I should be asking, because it's sort of like, you know when you see all these shows on TV and stuff, that they always say that, don't they? How are you doing? Or like when it's a chat show and they introduce a guest on. And they're introducing them and hugging them and shaking their hand like they haven't met like 10 minutes before backstage. So I just feel like that's the right thing to do. Just
Well,
make
in
sure.
answer to your question,
Yes.
I am fine. I started my new job last week even.
Yes, you did.
It's very good. People are lovely.
Good.
So I'm enjoying it.
That's good. I just want to take a moment to say happy birthday as well to Siân, who is a certain age.
I'm 43, everyone.
She's 43.
Not until tomorrow, though.
No, Tuesday, Siân turns 43. So happy birthday.
Thank you.
Birthday to my co-host and wife.
And best friend.
Sorry, you prompted me for that last one.
Yeah.
I'm best friend.
What's on this week's show, Ryan?
So this week we are going to talk about the club's new valuation, as it were. We'll go into that in a second. We're going to talk a little bit about TST, which kicked off last week. We're going to look at two more championship teams. Welcome to Wrexham, episode 5. A couple of transfer rumours to have a look at. We got the quiz. There's a bit to get through this week.
Our son asked us the other day, or yesterday I think it was, what do you talk about in the off-season? That just proves that he does not listen to our podcast, for a start.
Oh, God, no.
And secondly, we've always got something to talk about. There's always something going on with Wrexham, whether it's on the pitch, off the pitch, or in the background.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, let's talk about the valuation. And I do that in sort of like, oh no, I should talk about the shirt first, shouldn't I?
Yes.
Different shirt every week, I always forget. I've gone more recent history this week. So I've gone for the 22-23 season, the TikTok, second season of TikTok. I've gone for that one this week. So I'm going to try, because I've got lots, so I'm going to try and do, I think I'm able to do a different one every week in the off season. And then hopefully first week of the new season, I'll have the new shirt on. But
no news as of yet, as when...
No news. No, that's... No. I don't know how I feel about that, because it just feels like sometimes... I wasn't planning on talking about this, but as it's come up... Does it feel like sometimes we're missing out on revenue? Because, like Premier League, so, it was no secret our son's a Man City fan.
Boo.
And we took him on the Man City tour the other week, and we went to the ground, and he wanted the new shirt, and he went in and he bought the new shirt from the club shop.
He bought it.
We bought it from the club shop. And... and that was before, I think that was before the season had even
They were playing
finished.
their last league game the day after we went.
So, and Premier League clubs they always do that. They release their shirt before the end of the sort of current season. But it sort of feels like I've seen loads of other clubs have released their shirts for next season. We always seem late. We always seem like, I don't know if it's like, it's not even like we're building up tension. I think it just annoys people that it's not out.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's an issue with Macron providing it, or whether
but surely, like lower tier teams, some of them have released their shirts already for the next season.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming they all use Macron as well. So
No, they don't all use Macron. So
a few of them do.
A few, yeah.
So
I think you've got Castore, haven't you? You've got Nike, you've got Adidas, you've got Puma, you've got, there's loads of kit manufacturers.
But there's a lot of them that do use.
Yeah.
So I'm not necessarily thinking it's a Macron issue.
No.
Maybe they haven't decided on the final design, or who knows, or maybe
I'd like the season to come to an end, and then a week or two later, bang, there's your new shirt. We can go out and buy it. We have had previous seasons where people are like, am I even going to get it by the season starts, and all that sort of thing. So I don't know. Anyway,
they might be still negotiating the sponsor. Who knows if United are going to be the sponsor next season?
They are, I think. I'm pretty sure they are. I'm sure they signed a 3-year deal, and I think the last season was only the second.
Okay.
So I'm pretty sure they are. I might be wrong, but we'll have to wait and see. But anyway, talking about sponsorships and deals and money, it's a nice little
money.
little segue. So there was an article that came out this week in Bloomberg UK. So Bloomberg they're an international, I think they're based in New York. They're a news organization, I suppose you'd call them.
Yeah.
But they mainly report on finance and business, and that's what Bloomberg sort of do. Now, I read the story in Bloomberg UK. I'm assuming the story is available in Bloomberg, whatever country that you're in. So I'll read out the section of the article, and then we'll have a little chat about it. So, Wrexham AFC, the Welsh football club owned by Hollywood stars Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney, is considering selling a stake for a valuation of up to £350 million. That's $475 million. People familiar with the matter said the club is working with investment bank advisors to canvass demand for potential investors, according to the people who asked not to be identified, discussing confidential information. I do believe that the club were asked for comment and they declined. Shock. They're not going to comment on something like that. Right. So let's sort of break that down a little bit. So what that article, so obviously that puts a valuation of $475 million on Wrexham AFC, which is bonkers in itself. But that, I think a few people are maybe confused by the story a little bit.
Do people think that they're selling the club?
Yeah, I think a few people have sort of gone, sort of panic a little bit and gone, right, well, why is there a valuation on the club? Whatever that value is, are they looking to offload? So if you break it down a little bit, the valuation is based on, the best way I can describe it. So in the UK, we have Dragon's Den. Yeah, I think it's called...
there is something else in America.
I think it's called Shark Tank in America.
That sounds familiar.
So what happens on something like that? Sorry, to sort of break it down so simply, but it's the best way to explain it. So people will go on these shows and they will go, I want $1 million for a 10% stake in my business, right? So Wrexham have supposedly contacted some like investment banks, and have basically, they're trying to canvass like some sort of interest in a percentage of the business, in the same way as they do on Dragon's Den and Shark Tank. So, if somebody was saying, I want $1 million for a 10% stake, that instantly values that company at $10 million. That's how it works. So if they're asking, the club or Ryan and Rob might be asking for $47.5 million for a 10% stake in the company. So they're not selling the company off for $475 million. They're offering a percentage at a price. They're trying to see who is interested at that price for that percentage. But the figures dictate that the club is then valued at $475 million, which is insane. Because I think in the Championship, if I go back, I think it was last year, Sheffield United were bought by an American investment company for something like 100, or a consortium for 111 million. So to say that we are worth over 3 times that is bonkers. But what Ryan and Rob are doing is they are selling off a percentage of the club to try and build up funds for a Championship campaign, and are possibly overpricing that percentage stake. Ultimately, they're saying, look, do you want to be involved in this journey? It's amazing. You've seen the documentary. Do you want 10%?
Look at the revenue from a couple of seasons ago to what it is now.
Exactly. Do you want 10%? It's going to cost you $50 million, right? Which is obviously doesn't translate into what the club is actually worth, because the club is not worth $500 million. It's just not. But that's where the valuation comes from. So they're trying to slice off a piece of the pie for some investors. They will still, I am assuming, I don't know the figures, nobody knows the figures, but the assumption is they're still going to remain the majority stakeholder in the club. But they recognise that in the Championship, we need a lot more money than they're able to provide or pump into the club, or we're getting from revenue. And I think that's the best way to describe it. I'm not a huge fan of a sort of multi-ownership model where 5% is there and 2% is there and 10% is there. But as long as your core ownership stays the same, perhaps it's not the worst thing in the world to do. But yeah, I don't know how you feel about, sort of carving up the club and sort of selling bits of it off and stuff like that.
I think as long, like you said, as long as Rob and Ryan continue to be the majority stakeholders in the club, the Championship is, financially is a massive leap from all the other leagues that we've been in previously. So I think it makes good business sense, because at the end of the day, Wrexham AFC is a business.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, it's the heart and soul of the community. But at the end of the day, as much as Rob and Ryan absolutely adore the club and the people and all that kind of stuff, I think it does make good business sense to kind of break the club up a little bit and get additional stakeholders in, because we are going to need a lot of money. And I think, it's not unknown that Ryan is, he is a businessman.
Yeah.
And, he's done very well. And he said himself that some of his businesses haven't done well and some of them have done amazingly well.
Very, very, very well.
Very well. Wrexham obviously being one of them, I guess.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's good business sense, but I can understand fans getting a little bit tetchy, thinking, oh my God, are we getting to the point now where, all the opposing fans saying, oh, they're going to get bored is actually going to come. But I don't think that's the case.
No.
I just think they're thinking about the club, they're thinking about the future, and they're thinking about the business of the club. So, I don't see the issue with it.
And maybe another push.
Well, yeah, I think that's ultimately what they're thinking.
I think so. I think we need money just to compete, okay? But
even if we do consolidate in the Championship,
yeah,
whatever.
but I do think, that I like you said, they seem like, from what we've seen on the documentary so far, they seem like the sort of people who go, who like a little bit of a gamble and go on, let's get another investor in.
Lucky that they've got supportive wives, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
Blake and Caitlin. It's good that they're very supportive because
I think that's maybe talking about partners. I think maybe that's where some of the panic came from as well, from certain sort of factions of fans, because obviously Ryan and Caitlin, not Ryan and Caitlin, Ryan and
don't swap wives.
No. No, what you do behind closed doors, I don't know. But Ryan and Blake are obviously going through a little bit. Ryan and Blake are getting potentially sued for $400 million. And I'm not going to go into that now because this isn't the forum for that. So I think with that going on in the background as well, and then seeing the valuation of somewhere around the $400 million, everyone's they're putting 2 and 2 together and maybe getting 48, and
I thought you were going to say 4 though. That is correct, Ryan.
No.
2 and 2 is 4.
No. So I think maybe that fueled a little bit, and they're going, hang on a minute, 475 million valuation, they're getting sued for 400 million. What's going on here? And there was a little bit of
there's always going to be speculation, and and at the end of the day, they're all in the public eye, and it's going to be.
Yeah, it is, and I think it's I think I've mulled it over, and I think you're probably right. I think it's probably a good thing for the club moving forward, we just need more money. You don't want to be one of the. I don't believe for a second, because there's lots of things going on at the moment where people are predict the Championship next season, and it's so wide ranging where Wrexham are going to finish. People are saying we're up by the playoffs. Some people are saying we're going straight back down. And
I don't think we'll go straight back down. I reckon mid-table maybe. I don't think we'll get relegated.
We're going back.
We'll get promoted.
Yeah.
We're going to get promoted to Premier League. You
Let's
heard it here first, guys. I'm doing an Ollie Palmer and saying we're going to get back to back to back to back.
Oof, I don't know.
No, I don't know.
No, look, but whatever happens next season, we need money.
Yeah.
So it does seem to make sense, but it's I don't know.
Wait and see.
Up the $500 million, ruining football, Deadpool, Reds, I suppose.
Anyway, moving on. So some news has come out. Obviously, you fans may remember Callum McFadzian. He left last season, or was it the season before? Do you know what? It seems like...
Yeah, so it was the end of the season before last when he got when he actually left the club. And he's had a year out.
Yeah, he's we follow Callum on social media. I think he spent a lot of time with his family. He's got 2 little boys, and they've been going on holidays and things like that. I haven't been stalking him. It is all there on social media.
You know more than me.
Yeah. Like Ryan said, he's taken a year out, but it was announced last week that he has now joined Radcliffe FC, who are in the National League North. So,
good for him. Not going to delve too much into it. The National League North team, I think Callum's 31, is he? 32? Sort of around that age. He's not old. He's got a few years left in him. A few people were quite surprised that he dropped down to the National League North. But I think for any professional athlete who decides to not do anything for a year, I'm not saying he hasn't been training and keeping in shape and all that sort of stuff, but when you are not in a professional environment for a year.
Yeah, a year's a long time in a footballer's life.
Yeah,
isn't it?
I think that takes something out of you.
Yeah,
and I think a drop down to the National League North probably makes sense. I would suggest.
Where is Radcliffe?
It's in Manchester.
So maybe that's another reason why, because he does live locally around here.
Well, I was talking about this to somebody. Not that we're doing some big Callum McFadzian special, but yeah, I know where he lived.
I do too.
Yeah. So, but
it sounds like proper stalkers.
Yeah, no, it is.
I actually saw him in. I saw him by the Co-op where my mum and dad live.
Yeah, somebody that also lives in the area that you're talking about said that they haven't seen him for a while. So we're not 100% sure if he does still live there, but
No,
I
maybe.
don't know. But a commute to Manchester every day isn't very big
No.
from Wrexham. So yeah. Good luck, Callum. Basically,
Yes.
we spent way more time talking about that than I thought we were going to. I was just going to announce it and move on, but
Sorry, but
there we go.
Callum was one of my faves.
Yeah.
What do I remember when I first started going? I used to call him, because he used to have purple boots, and I used to call him Purple Boots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
You
Yeah.
remember that?
Anyway, look, quick one about the pitch. We'll talk about this every week. A Wrexham AFC fan zone got in touch. Obviously, he's got a YouTube channel. I've told you, go and check that out, because he's doing daily sort of pitch dugout sort of videos and with his drone, and they're really interesting to watch.
You do watch it daily, but I like to kind of dip in now and again, because I like to see more progress rather than just little progress. But
I am daily.
Yeah, you're daily. So
he said, "Hi guys, thanks for the mention of my channel. There actually will be massive sewing machine type at the ground."
That'll be interesting.
I think I took the mick out of you for suggesting
You did.
that would be the case, so I apologise for that.
So thank you for that, for backing me up.
So there will be massive sewing machine type at the ground, maybe even 2 or 3. The SIS grass hybrid machines will be there in 4 to 6 weeks. I was commissioned by CLS, the company doing the pitch, to film it for them. But yeah, these machines are basically sewing machines.
Get in.
So yes, I apologise for that. Great Scott also said, "Hi there, just a quick note. I double-checked the process of installing the hybrid pitch on Wrexham's website, and it looks like they will have stitching machines on site." All right, everyone. All right, let's calm down.
I'm not as thick as I look.
No, you're not. But
that took a lot of hesitation then.
Yeah, because I wasn't sure how, by saying no, you're not as thick as you look, anyway, like I don't know if that is
Would you like
offensive.
a spade to dig that hole deeper?
Yeah, I'm just going to move on.
Yeah.
Here is a quote I found. "The pitch will then be seeded and stitched in midsummer, creating a state-of-the-art UEFA compliant facility for first team home matches as well as FAW fixtures." Thank you, everyone. There was more than that who actually said, actually, there will be sewing machines on site. But yes.
I'd be intrigued. I've just got this image in my head now of like the sewing machine that your mum's got.
Yeah.
Just massive ones of those just on the pitch.
Someone there.
Then they've got like a foot pedal.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting.
Look, let's just talk about TST. So TST started last week on the 4th.
The day that I started my new job.
Yes. How do you feel about TST? Because I've sort of got the impression over the last week that it sort of annoyed you a little bit, in the sense of because they're Wrexham Red Dragons. That's the name of the team. But you've made a few comments this week going, "Why is he playing? Why is he playing? Who's he? What's he doing in the team?" And are you? So what is your overall thoughts on TST? Is it love it, hate it? Where are you somewhere in between?
I'm going to be honest. I don't really understand the rules. You've explained the rules to me. I'm just not. It doesn't float my boat.
No, I quite like it, and I've watched all of the games, men's and women's. Stayed up quite late to watch a couple of them, and I quite like it because it sort of reminds me of when I used to play. It was.
You're not mentioned that you've been a football for a while.
When I used to play, it's obviously 11 aside. Yeah, so it's normal football, 11 versus 11. The TST sort of reminds me of, while we were doing that, during the summer, we used to compete in like 5-a-side tournaments.
I never understand 5-a-side either, because how can you play football with 5 men on the pitch? I just don't get it.
So
you don't need to explain it to me.
We're not going to delve. No,
I
we're
just
not.
Don't get it.
We're not going to delve into that. But it sort of reminds me of playing in these 5-a-side tournaments a little bit, and I quite like it. And it's something different. And I'm big into sport anyway, so it's just like a little offshoot of the normal football that we watch. So I have enjoyed watching it, even if Siân hasn't so much. But just to talk about it...
Doesn't make me any less of a fan, though.
No, I know. But yeah, I think you've very much been... Well, it's not Wrexham. It's not proper Wrexham, is it? That's been your mentality of it, though, isn't it, really?
I love what I love.
Yeah, I know. So anyway, the men beat Real Atletico 2-1. It was 2-1 at full time, sorry. And then George Boyd scored in target score time to finish 3-1. Second game, we beat Bournemouth 5-0 at full time. Bournemouth pulled 2 back in target score time, but Mark Albrighton scored the winner in target score time to make it 6-2. That meant we'd already qualified for the knockout stages. And then they lost the final group game 3-1 to Concacaf Soccer Club. Eventually, they were knocked out, so I stayed up till midnight to watch them play Drip FC. And they got, in all fairness to Drip FC, they got annihilated.
Drip FC, I mean...
It's quite cool, actually, because their badge is sort of like in the shape of like a drip as well. It's quite cool. Anyway, they lost. They got battered by them. I think it was 5-0 at full time.
Yes, I woke up for that bit.
Yeah, and then they pulled 2 back to make it 5-2, and then it finished 6-2 in the end. So yeah, the men went out in the second round, I'd call it, but I think they call it the round of 32. So the men are out of TST. The women didn't fare so well, unfortunately. So the women in their opening game, they were 4-0 up at full time, and then they actually lost 5-4 in target score time. They lost the second game 5-0 to the Drunken Monkeys.
Oh my Christ.
And that meant they were eliminated, and then their final game they lost 6-3 to Kansas City. Look, all in all, I've enjoyed TST. It's something a little bit different. The rules are a little bit more quirky than you would get in normal football.
The team names are mental.
Yeah, and I quite like it. I've got to be honest. It's I don't think, from what I've seen, the crowds haven't seemed as big this time as they did last year or the year before. So I don't know if because one thing I did notice during it, I was watching one of the Wrexham games. There was hardly anyone there in the stands, and they were putting adverts on the screen in the sort of ground, which said, "Be quick, get your tickets for TST. There's only a few left," which made me laugh a little bit because the ground was empty. So I sort of felt like there was more than just a few left. I don't know. So I don't know what the attendances this year are like compared to last year. There just didn't seem as many people. But as a tournament, I enjoy it, and I do look forward to it, because I think when the season ends and you need something just to quench your football thirst, I think this does a job for me.
No.
Not for you so much, but it does for me, I think, a little bit. So, look, transfer rumours. Look, so the window is still open.
Open on the 1st, didn't it?
Yeah, it's open until your birthday, and then it closes again. So that is, for anyone watching this on Monday, that's tomorrow, basically, that the window is open until. It will close for about a week, and then it reopens again. So we haven't signed anyone in the first little part of the transfer window. We're not a club that has seemed to sign players early, though, are we?
No, but there was an advert, like a post on their social media.
Yeah.
They basically had a bottle of Stoke Brew coffee, is it? Cold Stoke Brew. Oh, I don't know what it's called. Yeah, that coffee that sponsor the Tech End.
Yeah.
Or was it the lag? I don't know, one of the stands. So, and it had like a contract on the table.
Yeah.
And it basically said, it kind of gave you a bit of a clue that, they are obviously looking for people to, bring in the transfer window.
Yeah, it was just trying to pique some interest, really. It was it was an advert for Stoke Cold Brew Coffee.
That's it.
And it just had, it happened to have contracts that said keep an eye on the club throughout the summer to see,
Which obviously everybody's doing anyway. I did hear as well, I can't remember if we've spoken about this guy, but Ben Davis.
Yeah, we did last week, yeah.
Apparently, he has signed a contract extension with Tottenham.
Yeah, I think we sort of assumed that was going to be the case. Sorry, I've just got to fiddle about with something on the laptop. Sorry, but yeah, it was sort of like an assumption that that he was going to sign a contract extension, and like you say, that's.
So the rumours that we've had so far is Lewis Travis, who's a midfielder. He's 27 years old. His youth career was at Liverpool and Blackburn, which is almost a one-club player. He's been at Blackburn since turning pro in 2017.
Yeah.
9 games he played on loan at Ipswich in 2024, so obviously last season. He helped Ipswich to promotion to the Premier League. He's currently Blackburn's captain. He's rumoured to be available for $3 million, but he is contracted until 2026, and he scored 39 goals in the last. He scored 39 goals.
No, he hasn't.
Sorry, he's played 39 games, and he scored 2 goals last season as a central defence midfielder.
He is more of a defensive midfielder, this one. So, that's why he's only scored 2. Similar to Ollie Rathbone, really, when he came in. Very much a defensive midfielder, not one for scoring goals. Obviously, Ollie turned that around a little bit last season, where he has, he started banging in goals. But yeah. This is one that sort of came out the blue a little bit for me, because I wasn't massively expecting to see somebody like that, especially the captain of another championship team.
Mind you, we had Tom Kearney, and he's the
we haven't had him. He was
we had the rumour. I meant.
Yeah,
sorry.
we did. But yeah, it's an interesting one. I do think we need a midfielder moving into the championship next season. I think. So if I was going to run through the team, okay, that I feel. I think you've got Arthur in goal.
Yes.
I think in your central defensive 3, I think you've got Lewis Brunt, and I think you've got Max Cleworth, plus a new signing.
Yeah.
That would be my guess.
Yeah.
I think you've got Longman on the right.
Mm-hmm.
I think you need a new signing on the left. You're nodding at me like, where's Jimmy going to play? I think you possibly need. I wouldn't underestimate Jimmy putting in some decent shifts in the championship. But if I was going to guess, I'd say someone on the left. I would say your central midfield 3. I think you've got Ollie Rathbone and potentially 2 new signings in the middle. So Dobbo and Matty James drop into like bench players potentially, and then your 2 new ones in there, and then I think up front you've got Sam Smith plus a new striker.
Definitely a new striker.
I think
definitely
that's how I see it.
Yeah,
I'm not in charge, but that's how I see it. I think you need a central defender.
Mm-hmm.
I think you need a left wing back. I think you need 2 central midfielders, and I think you need a striker. That would be, for me, I think your ideal scenario. If we go into the next season with Dobbo in the middle, so be it. I don't think that's the worst thing in the world, but I do think you potentially, if you want to be strong and you want to strengthen, I think someone like Lewis Travis is a massive signing, and I think that it's something like that proven championship player, something like that you really need. And again, striker. I just throw all the money in the world at that.
Yeah,
because
we need a proven goal scorer. We've got Sam Smith, and he he's amazing. You know, we love Sam Smith. But yeah, I think we definitely need a goal scoring striker that's, you know, proven
at this level.
At this level, yeah.
I think it's not just a proven goal scorer we need a proven goal scorer at this level.
Or higher.
Well, yeah, if you want to take a Premier League one, but who knows? Look, one other transfer rumour, sort of one slightly on the back burner, but Danny Ward, so goalkeeper, 31, born in Wrexham, youth career at Wrexham from 2007 to 2011, moved to Liverpool in 2012 as a backup goalkeeper. Was there for 6 years, which included 3 loans out to Morecambe, Aberdeen and Huddersfield. He then moved to Leicester in 2018. He was there for 7 years, mainly again as a backup goalkeeper. Kasper Schmeichel for the most part. He did have a brief, he might have even had a whole season where he was the number 1, or I think it was possibly half a season, but he dropped back to a backup goalkeeper. Currently a Welsh international with 44 caps. I think the question is, does he want to carry on being a backup? Because if he comes to us,
it'll be Arthur and Callum, won't it?
I think he will be Arthur's number 2. I think is what he would be.
Do you think?
Yes. So, and it would be someone with sort of like a Premier League experience that would really push Arthur on. But I think Arthur would remain as the number 1 and Danny would come in as a number 2. Whether he wants to continue being a number 2, he has basically been a number 2 his whole professional career. So does he want to carry on doing that, or has he got to an age now where he goes, no, I want to be the number 1 now?
We've still got Callum Burton though, haven't we?
Yeah, but he would drop to a number 3, wouldn't he?
Do you think? I think he's quite good.
So you think of bringing in a Premier League goalkeeper, Callum Burton is going to go ahead of him in the pecking order? No, just not going to happen. So we have to remember as well, obviously, Arthur isn't particularly... I wouldn't class Arthur as injury prone, but, you know, obviously he did have 8 games out last season with an injury. You know, that 8 games is a lot. And then Callum came in and then he got injured and we ended up with Mark Howard. So ultimately our 3rd choice keeper. So I think another goalkeeper is important.
Oh, yeah.
For me, and I think you need a good one.
Yes.
That is really going to push Arthur and make him a better goalkeeper in the long run. Because I'm not sure Arthur's got that at the moment, that he's got somebody who's really going to push him. Because I think with Callum sitting there as his number 2, I think you're always looking going, I know I'm the number 1, and I don't think I'm massively in danger of not being that unless I have a really bad run. So I think somebody to come in to really spur Arthur on to go, hang on a minute, I've got an ex-Premier League goalkeeper here really pushing and wants to be playing week in, week out. So I think something like that would really push it on. Whether it will happen, I don't know. And whether something has happened with Danny Ward in between when we've recorded and when this actually comes out, who knows? I don't know. So we'll just have to wait and see. For you, I think, do you agree with what I said that we need? Or are you sort of going... left wing back, no, I'd like to keep Jimmy left wing back, or no, I'd like to keep Dobbo in the middle, or are you sort of like, no, I think what you've said is what we need?
I mean, I'd like to keep, obviously, James McLean, but I'm not stupid. I know that he's kind of getting to that point, you know, of his career. So I think maybe they'll bring somebody in to not replace James McLean, but maybe will James McLean be the new Stephen Fletcher? Will he be that impact player that comes on? I
don't think you massively make an impact from left wing back though, do you?
I know, but I just, I mean, I do agree. I think for me, definitely one position which we do need to look at, and like you said, we need to throw some money to it, is a striker. You know, I mentioned before, we need a proven goal scorer. in, like you said, in this league. So yeah, I think for me, probably a striker's probably the one thing that I.
So you know what that means, don't you?
I do.
It'd be the last thing that we go for. It'll be the last thing that comes in through the door, probably, because we're all looking at it going, yeah, I think we do need a striker.
But we need the money to kind of throw at that striker. So I think,
Which we've probably got.
We probably have, but yeah, I think maybe we'll bring in the,
might be.
We might even only blimmin' sign a striker. You just don't know, do you? You don't know what's going on.
You don't, and I hope not, because I like I said, I think there are positions there that that really do need strengthening. So we'll wait and see, and anything else that pops up, we'll keep you informed, obviously. Welcome to Wrexham.
Oh, yeah.
It was quite an emotional one this week,
again,
wasn't it? Again
for me, yeah.
So it was sort of like, it started out with obviously Rob getting cut from Deadpool.
That wasn't emotional. That was funny.
No, so yeah, it's a.
Well, it kind of made it quite emotional, didn't it? Because he was talking about his career and.
Yeah, it was. It was a funny thing that he did put quite a serious message to, because obviously it related to. Like it sort of related to JJ and Anthony Ford leaving the club very much, and I think it did set the tone for it. For the whole episode in a very clever way, because they do things very cleverly, because you have to remember they are actors and they are sort of like they do produce TV shows and films, and they write them, and so they do have they are good at what they do, and it did very much set the right tone for the episode. And we obviously had Arthur's funeral in there, and I think it was a really nice send off, wasn't it? And the bit I think was the most emotional about it was where they had him walking through the stadium as with a slightly sort of like transparent shadowy sort of figure. I think that was the most emotional part of the whole episode, and they did that so well, because I think there was always a risk with someone as important as Arthur to the club and to the community, that there's always a risk that you almost overdo it a little bit and make it a little bit too Hollywood or a little bit too cheesy. But I think they just went the perfect amount with it, and I think it was spot on, and it was really nice.
Do you know what I think?
Yeah,
I think everyone's saying we should get a statue of Parky. I think we should get a statue of Arthur Massey.
That would be really good.
I think. Yeah. He's such a legend. He's been going to the club since he was 7 or 8. He's had a season ticket for that long.
Yeah.
And one of his daughters said in the documentary that it's just sad that he didn't get to see us going into the championship. And but
I know it's one of them, and I think it does make you think about all the people who pass away, all the fans, doesn't it? Not just Arthur, but how many people are there sitting in that ground going, if only my dad, my brother, whoever was here now to see us.
You can't have statues of everybody, I suppose.
No. I agree with what you're saying. Yeah. I do think a statue for Arthur would be amazing somewhere. I think that's great. But all I'm saying is it does make you think about all of the other people who are sitting there going, I wish such and such was here to be able to see us in the Championship. Or when we eventually get to the Premier League, all the people who are going to be sitting there going, I wish my granddad was here, my dad was here, my sister, my brother, my mum, whatever.
It's always going to be,
Yeah, and I think as we go on a journey like this, we
are going to lose,
you're going to lose people, and you are going to wish that they were there because because you've taken that next step.
Yeah.
You probably don't get that as much if you're a club who are in a division for 20, 25 years. You maybe don't get that, but we've probably had it a lot.
Yeah.
Over the last couple of seasons. A few games during this episode. So we had the Shrewsbury game. Move on. Yeah. Okay. And I think we had the Birmingham round 2.
The infamous light show that we had.
Let's move on from that as well, because I hated that.
You didn't like. They're going to do it again. You do know that, don't you? When Birmingham come again.
Yeah. Anyway. We had.
I will record his reaction again.
The Stevenage game, which the less said about that, the better. Obviously, we have to cover these games.
I think this episode was all the games that were just like, oh my God, what are we doing? Games.
I think it reminds you of something, though, because it reminds you that we had the Shrewsbury game, nightmare. Birmingham game, which we played so well in that game, but we only took a point away from that. We had the Stevenage game, lost. And then we had the Crawley away game, which very much was on the brink of being another disaster. They equalised really late on, that stunning 30-yarder right in the top corner. And we were right on the brink of dropping points again, in that game. And it's such small margins, football, because it makes you look back and go, imagine we wouldn't, Elliot Lee wouldn't have popped up with that equaliser and we wouldn't have won that game. Who knows how that would have affected us as a team mentally moving forward into the next game after that, which was Northampton away. You don't know. What if we'd have dropped points? That you just don't know. And it is such small margins in football it does sort of remind you of what's gone on during the season. We had all the new signings come in as well.
We did, yes.
So it was Longman came in,
yep.
Smith, Rodriguez, who we know, all three of them had a big impact on the rest of our season. Some would say maybe only 2 of them did, but we're not gonna go into that now. I like the little Mark Griffiths bit I did. I
like Mark Griffiths. Can I just ask?
Yes.
Not podcast related. Well, it kind of is. But is my microphone actually working?
Yeah, I think so. Because there's a little bit of problem with the software. It's not the software itself. It's the laptop.
Right.
The laptop.
I just can't see when you talk.
Yeah, I know. It is the when I was, so if you're watching us on
Ryan
YouTube,
sabotaged me so you all can't hear me.
No, basically I sort of went off camera for a little bit while Siân was talking about Lewis Travis. Basically, the laptop keeps freezing for some reason, so I am hoping that the mics have continued to work through the period that the laptop is freezing.
Anyway,
we will wait and see.
Sorry, I just needed to clarify because I didn't want to get all the way through and go, oh, by the way, we can't hear you.
No, look, it was a good episode, I think.
It was.
And I don't want to sort of discuss too many different things about the episode, because for me it was very much about Arthur. I think that episode, and we segued out to games, and we talked a little bit about JJ and Anthony Ford, and then we talked a little bit about Mark Griffiths, and the new signings. But for me, it was the Arthur Massey episode.
It was,
it felt like a fitting tribute, and I really enjoyed the episode last week, I think. So
yeah.
I am looking forward to next week as well, because what I'm purposely not doing is I am not looking forward on the fixture list or the results list to see what games come next. I'm just ignoring it, and I'm just letting it happen, and to see what. So it's sort of like a surprise and go, oh yeah, it's this game. So I'm purposely not looking forward as coming up with my own spoilers for what's coming up in the episodes. Look, we're going to talk about 2 more championship teams that we're going to face next season. So the first one is Sheffield Wednesday. So founded in 1867, later than us, so they're younger than us. They play at Hillsborough, which is 88 miles away, so about 2 hours. They've got a capacity of 39,732, which is the biggest in the championship next season. It's temporarily reduced to 34,835 on safety grounds, but they are working work is continuing to sort of build that back up to max capacity. Even with the reduction,
There's still a lot.
it's still the biggest ground in the championship next season.
Yeah.
Obviously, Hillsborough is the location of the Hillsborough disaster, which happened where 97 Liverpool fans unfortunately lost their lives.
Yeah.
And I think it's been. It must be strange, I always think, for a club to have a ground with a name that is so synonymous with
a
disaster.
Yeah.
And it must be quite
such a tragic disaster as well.
Yeah, it must be such a strange feeling to have that. They finished 12th in the Championship last season on 58 points. They spent 16 of the last 20 seasons in the Championship. They were in the Premier League between 1992 and 2000. The last league game with them league games with them were in the 04-05 season. We lost 4-0 at Hillsborough and 3-0 at home at the Racecourse. The last time we played them was in 2006 in the League Cup when we actually won 4-1 at Hillsborough. Based on the league results in the 04-05 season, I'm guessing maybe they played a weakened side when we beat 4-1, I'm not sure. Nickname's the Owls. So the reason their nickname is the Owls is Hillsborough is in the Sheffield suburb of Owlerton. So that's why they're called the Owls. There you go. Local rivals are obviously Sheffield United. Games against them are called the Steel City Derby. They play in blue and white stripes. They're currently under a transfer embargo. Basically for non-payment of players and staff.
Blaming heck.
Yeah, no, it has happened before. So they're under a transfer embargo until they're paid. Basically, whenever that might be. And then they will make an application to get that lifted. But if they don't pay them soon, they might miss out on,
potential. Yeah.
So, really excited for Sheffield Wednesday. Be one of the biggest grounds that we have been to in such a long time. Really excited for that. Should get a really good allocation. Shouldn't have any problems getting tickets for that one. But yeah, it's a ground that I am excited to go to. I'm not sure. They've obviously had sections. They've obviously had to close sections down for safety reasons. So it's obviously not a ground that is in the best of nick at the moment, I would assume. But I'm still excited to go. We've been to the other Sheffield club, let's call them. I've never been to Hillsborough, so I am excited to go.
Would you go to Sheffield United again?
Dump, wasn't it? No, I'm joking. I'm just stirring the pot. But yeah, possibly. Yeah. I possibly would. But definitely Sheffield Wednesday. Let's see about Sheffield United. But yeah.
Okay, so the next team we're going to look at is Queen's Park Rangers. They were founded in 1882. They play at Loftus Road, which is 183 miles away, which is about 3 hours and 45 minutes, which is quite a trek, in West London. Their capacity is 18,439. The first professional football club to have an artificial pitch, which was in 1981.
I remember.
Which was like way ahead of its time, I suppose.
So they changed to grass like 7-8 years later. They changed back to grass. But I always remember as a kid watching football where they were the only team that I can remember to have an artificial pitch. They had to get rid of it in the end and they went back to grass. But yeah, I do always remember the artificial pitch that they had.
So they finished 15th in the Championship last season on 56 points. 18 of the last 21 seasons have been in the Championship. The other 3 were in the Premier League. The last time we played them was in the 03-04 season when we lost 2-0 home and away. They play in blue and white hoops. Their nicknames are the R's. I don't know why I said it like that. The R's. Rangers and the Hoops. names.
Yeah. They use various ones.
reasons.
Yeah. So for anyone who doesn't know the difference between hoops and stripes, stripes are vertical, hoops are horizontal. Just in case anyone didn't know.
I think
I'm not trying to talk down to anyone. I just genuinely people might not know the difference between hoops and stripes. So there we go.
I think they probably do.
I think they probably do. I don't know why I said it, but there you go. If you would like to support the show, you can do by buying us a coffee. You do that by visiting buymeacoffee.com/me the wife. Some big thank yous this week. First one is to JB, who very kind of him to support the show. We sort of helped him out with a few little things.
We had a little Zoom call with him, which was lovely.
We had a little Zoom call, yes, to try and help him out. He's looking at setting up a bit of a YouTube thing, podcast thing, and we helped him out with a few things. So thank you very much for that.
Not Wrexham related, though.
Not Wrexham related, no. Thank you very much, JB. And another J as well. We'll have to call you JMYC, I think. But thank you very much to you as well for supporting the show. A regular supporter of the show. And it is massively appreciated. We really thank you for that.
Two J's.
The two J's.
The two J's.
Double J.
So if you'd like to comment or send us a message or anything like that, you can do so. You can comment on this YouTube video or any other YouTube video. You can click on contact on the show. Click on the show. Click contact on the show. What is wrong with me?
What are you saying? You
click contact on the show.
Click contact the show
on the podcast.
If you are listening on a podcast.
Sorry. Or you can contact us on Blue Sky, X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, or you can email us at methewifeandwrexhamafc@gmail.com.
Quick shout out for Dragon Chat. So it's a mental health peer support group. They run 2 weekly Zoom calls. One is on Monday at 8 p.m. and that is for women. The other one is on Thursday at 7 p.m. and that is for men. If you want to get on them calls, all the details are down in the description of this video if you're watching on YouTube. Alternatively, go to the Wrexham AFC website, go to the Communities tab, and then onto the Health tab, and you'll find Dragon Chat in there.
Do you struggle saying down in the description?
Yeah, a little bit. I don't know why.
In the description.
Yeah. Quiz time.
Oh, numbers.
No.
You know numbers aren't my forte.
I know. We were talking about sort of finance and stuff like that, and I thought I was going to do... I tell you what I did. I started doing a money quiz because we were talking about the valuation of the club. I really struggled. So money quickly became numbers. So that's what we ended up with. Are you excited?
Do you know what? I'm not.
No, I don't know.
If it just said quiz, I probably would, be all right.
Maybe I should have just written quiz
because
then.
It says numbers. I hate numbers.
Okay, question 1.
Yes.
Last week, the club had a valuation of $485 million. But which of the following is worth...
It was 475.
400... Maybe it was. I've written 4...
Yeah, well, you had in your notes 475 million, which is 350.
I'm going to read question 1 again.
Okay.
Last week, the club had a valuation of $475 million. Which of the following is worth the most? Is it 485 million American dollars? 485 million Australian dollars, 485 million Hong Kong dollars, or 485 million Canadian dollars?
Australian.
Australian?
Wrong.
Wrong.
It's American, isn't it?
It is American dollars. Yes, that is what's worth the most. Question 2. We saw the Wrexham Red Dragons appear in TST. But how many players are on the pitch at the start of a match? Is it 10, 14, 18 or 22?
18.
It's not 18. It's a 7v7 tournament, so it's 14. It's even in their logo, 7v7.
Is it?
Yeah, there you go. Anyway, question 3. In episode 5 of the documentary last Friday, we saw January signings Ryan Longman, Sam Smith and Jay Rodriguez arrive at the club. What number do you get if you add up all of their squad numbers?
Oh, Christ.
Is it 71, 81, 91, or 101?
81.
It's not. It's 91.
Told you. Numbers. No.
I know. Question 4. 2025 sees us back in the Championship. But how many years is it since we were last in the second tier?
Oh, no options?
No, because I think you can pretty much, if you pick a year and you just work out how many years ago that was.
25 years.
Okay, that's a mental guess, but yeah. So in 2000, do you think we were in the second tier? Yeah, that's what you're going with.
Yeah, no, we weren't.
I'm going to give you another. If you got the first 3 right, I would let that slide and say that's wrong. But that's such a mental guess. I'm going to give you another go.
$45 years.
It's very close.
Is it 43?
It is 43.
Do you know what I was thinking? Is it
1982?
Yeah, because Oh
Yeah.
crap.
Yeah.
Can you not give me that because it's close?
Let me just check the rules. No, they've got to be right. Question 5. So this is just to get one right.
Ugh.
Over the last 3 seasons, how many different teams have Wrexham AFC played against in league games? 3 seasons, okay? Each league has got 24 teams in it, okay? Of the last 3 seasons, how many different teams have Wrexham AFC played against? Is it 63, 66, 69, or 72?
69.
You're going for 69?
Yeah.
Incorrect. It's 66. Now, just in case you're playing along at home, I will explain why that is. Siân has basically, there's 24 teams in a league. You've done 23 times 3, haven't you? Basically for each season.
I just chose a number, if I'm honest. There was no mathematical
thingy
for it.
I
chose a number.
You play 23 teams per season. So
you're the 24th, aren't you?
Yes. So 69 is the logical answer because 23 is 69. But I did say different teams have we played. So we played 23 in the National League. We only played 22 in League 2 because we'd played Notts County the season before.
Yep.
And then we only played 21 in League 1 because we played Stockport and Mansfield the season before. So that adds up to 66. So just to explain my workings out.
Please never ever do a numbers quiz again, please. Because I hate numbers.
Tricky things, numbers, aren't they?
They are tricky things. I don't like them.
So that was one of your worst weeks for quite some time. That was 0 out of 5.
Do you know what? Don't even care because it was about numbers and I hate numbers. So
that's fine.
Not even bothered.
That's fine. So thank you very much for joining us this week. Seeing Siân's humiliation in the quiz, my humiliation at not being able to speak.
You love seeing me humiliated.
You make me sound horrible sometimes. Nice. It is funny. It's quite banter-esque. Even though Siân can't really do banter.
No, I'm really bad at banter.
She is. She goes too hard. Like banter's like a little bit of fun, poking fun at somebody else, obviously, and you take it up to the line. Siân goes so far past the line with the banter.
Hence why I don't do it because I don't like being horrible to people.
Yeah, and she's super horrible. So So
wait till you get off this camera.
Thanks for joining us. I hope you enjoy your week, and we'll see you again next week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.